Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing today on this beautiful sunny Monday? It's certainly sunny in the UK. I hope it's sunny wherever you are, and even if you've been stuck indoors most of the time, you're still able to enjoy a little bit of sunshine somehow. So, today's little chat, I wanted to talk to you about internal and external rotation at the shoulder. But before I move on to that, as always, please do give me a little thumbs up if you're watching or a little heart. I would love to know you're out there. And please do pop a comment in the box if you've got any questions or if you just want to say hi. That would be really lovely. I will definitely say hi back. And the same goes if you're watching on catch up. Please do feel free to ask any questions and like it and share it and all of that good stuff. Thank you very much. So, internal rotation, external rotation. Internal rotation, external rotation. So we're talking about movement happening at the shoulder joint, and the thing that's internally and externally rotating is actually your arm, and specifically your upper arm bone or your humerus. So, belly dancers, why do you need to know this? Why do we use this? The most common and obvious one is our arm undulations. So, we are internally rotating as we lift the arm and externally rotating as we wave down. So, internally rotating in the shoulder socket and externally rotating as we wave down. So it's one of the most beautiful things that we can do as belly dancers. It can be quite elusive for beginner belly dancers, but it's something that we do use a lot of, or just to get this beautiful arm wave, even if you're not doing arm undulations, when perhaps you're doing a transition or something like that, you're using internal and external rotation all the time. And it's good to be able to move into your maximum in both directions of the movement. Now, specifically for fat chant style belly dancers, or perhaps fusion dancers who are influenced by fat chant style, and particularly arm positions, we are spending a long time in internal rotation. So if you think about the elbows lifted position that we talk a lot about in fat chant style, if you're a fat chant style dancer, you've definitely heard keep your elbows lifted. It's such a beautiful strong arm posture that's so characteristic of this style. So this is our horizontal position with the elbows lifted, and we're in internal rotation here. And it's in internal rotation when we have our hands down below in neutral, and it's also internal rotation if we're really keeping our elbows lifted at the back and out to the sides when we're in this teardrop position overhead. And these are beautiful, strong arm positions that, like I've said, are really characteristic of fat chant style and can be challenging to master, particularly for beginners. But we rarely have the opportunity in fat chant style to come out of internal rotation, perhaps a little bit with our arm undulations, but we're in internal rotation a lot of the time. And of course, we want balance as much as possible. So we need to try and find ways to reduce, to release out of that common posture, if you see what I mean. Obviously, we're not going to be doing it with our dance. If you're strictly fat chant style, then you're going to be sticking to the arm positions that you have available to you. But you need to think about potentially after you finish dancing, or perhaps in between dance drills, what can you do in between just to minimize the internal rotation and add some external rotation. I'm going to tell you about my favorite stretch in just a moment, but I also want to talk about fusion belly dance as well, perhaps. So it depends what style you like in fusion belly dance, what your influences are. If you're like me, a lot of my fusion is influenced by fat chant style, and a lot of the arm positionings and posture is very much influenced by that. So certainly for a long time, I was working a lot on this pathway where you're lifting the arms up in internal rotation, which would be the standard pathway for our traveling undulations or Arabic step. And I would work on this quite a lot with my students as a teacher, because it can be quite challenging to find that position. It's not something we do with our arms in our everyday lives. However, yet again, it's more internal rotation. And I've really tried in the last couple of years to balance the internal rotation with external rotation arm moves. So bringing the arms up overhead with the palms lifted, for example. And finding other arm pathways that I can do, which are working more in external rotation or moving between internal and external rotation, just to keep our bodies moving in lots of different directions and keep our joints healthy. So what can we do if we are in a lot of internal rotation? And yes, something else I wanted to add as well. A lot of us have desk jobs or maybe driving a lot of the time. And unless you're all the time very sitting up like this at your desk having really good posture, it's again very easy to fall into internal rotation whilst you're working and typing away whatever it is you do. So if you're spending all of your time in your desk in internal rotation with the arms, and then you go to dance class and you're in internal rotation for like however long afterwards, it's a lot of internal rotation and not so much external rotation. So what can we do to counter stretch from this? This is one of my favorite stretches, and there's a couple of things that I'd like you to watch out for though as well, and I'll talk about those too. So what we're going to do is we're going to clasp the hands behind the back. I'm just going to turn so you can see me. And I've actually got quite rotated shoulders forwards anyway, so I have to really use my upper back muscles, squeeze them together to really open up across the front of the body and roll my shoulders back as much as I can. If you can't grab your hands here, feel free to grab a t-shirt or a towel and you can just hold your hands here and really thinking about wide across the front of the body. Yeah, so clasping the hands behind the back and rotating the shoulders as far as they'll go comfortably. You should feel a stretch, but obviously no pain or unnecessary tension. If this is okay for you, you can even think about bringing your palms together. That one doesn't work for me, but I know some people have more flexibility here. Or you can lift the arms further up. I'm going to release that down. I like to do that certainly at the end of class, if not twice at the end of class, if I can remember to squeeze it in. If I'm remembering when I'm teaching as well, if I can squeeze one in the middle of class, certainly after we've been doing a lot of arm work, just to release and open up across the front of the body there. A couple of things to watch out for though when you're doing this stretch. First of all, keep a micro bend in your elbows. It's very easy here to hyperextend, really rotating the arms and then allowing the elbows to push into hyperextension. Particularly if you're like me, I have a little bit of hyperextension. It's not a massive one, but I really focusing on squeezing in the upper arms just to keep a micro bend there and avoid going into hypertension. The other thing that I sometimes see in this position is this. So you feel like, oh yeah, this is a really good stretch. But actually what we're doing here, you can see, is we're extending into the back, which isn't necessarily a wrong thing to do, but what we're really wanting to work towards is the opening in the shoulders and across the front of the body and that external rotation. And if you're compensating by flaring the ribs and doing a little back bend, basically you're not getting the good work happening in the shoulders. So I'm really focusing on keeping the abdominals engaged. Another thing to say about that as well, sometimes even the pelvis can go. So you really want to be mindful of that when you're doing this stretch. So really making sure you have your abdominals engaged so that your pelvis is nice and neutral, upper abdominals engaged, keeping that rib cage closed, and then clasping the hands, then rotating the shoulders and opening up across the front of the body. And really squeezing the shoulder blades together and down. And taking nice deep breaths. You can lift the arms up. Remember to keep that micro bend in the elbows. And this can be quite a strong stretch, so please make sure you're warm before you do this. After you've done your arm work. And release. So you could even do it when you're sitting at your desk. Like I said, you probably want to be a little bit warm before doing it strongly, but there's no reason why you couldn't clasp your hands behind your back and just give yourself a little bit of a shoulder rotation or grab something to hold on to. Perhaps if your chair is behind you, you could grab your chair behind you and just open up. Just think about rotating the arms backwards just to really get that external rotation and the opening up across the front of the body. So I think that's it for today. I haven't seen any questions pop up so far. If anyone's got a question, drop it in the box really quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off for today. If you're watching it on catch up, as I've said before, please do pop any questions in the box. Please do give me a little thumbs up or a like if you enjoyed this video. And I hope you found the information interesting. If it's something new to you, please let me know. If you have any comments about it even, anything that works for you or doesn't work for you in relation to the internal and external rotation, I would love to hear about it. So thank you very much for your time today, and I will see you on Thursday for a little belly dance drill.